again, Phill Harden.
Yep.
Need a bit of a load.
That's it, we can look at.
Phill, tell us about the shutdown of the UHF analogue in 2012.
No, they're not turning off analogue. They're forcing everyone to move to narrower channels, 12.5 kilohertz channels, but analogue radio will go on for longer than you or I.
So why would we move to digital?
Digital radio will give you that nice clear signal right to the boundary of coverage, cut off completely. Analogue radio will be scratchier, and then finally inaudible. The digital manufacturers say that theirs go past that period of inaudibility. I believe that a trained operator will be able to hear a scratchy analogue signal where no digital signal will get through. Do you want to listen to all that noise? I don't know. So right now, you're faced with a VHS versus beta argument. Do you go to one brand of digital radio or the other? Do you wait for DMR? Until there's some more DMR products on the market, it's hard to say. Do you have to go digital? No. Well, some are saying and actually going out there and telling people that analogue radio will be cut off like analogue TV. It won't happen. The analogue radio will change to 12.5 kilohertz at December 31st, 2012, but there is no cut-off date for analogue radio.
How come we've got 25 kilohertz bands, and what's it got to do with taxis?
When two-way radio specifications were first laid out by what was then the Postmaster General's Department, they did some tests and decided how close together can we put stations without interfering with each other. And one of the most basic tests they did was to park two taxis door to door, and they transmitted from one and received in the other. And that gave them a specification that said, okay, if we put these channels about 25 kilohertz apart, we should be able to not interfere with each other as we do our operation. And that's basically how the specification came about, as simple as that. And that was based on technology at the time. It was based on valve radios and the best that they could do with what they had. Over the years, radios have got a lot better, design has got a lot better, and 12.5 kilohertz works fine. The interference factor is no worse, and two taxis parked side by side now could work on 12.5 kilohertz without any problems.
How is it that we can run out of frequency spaces?
Basically, if you divide all the frequencies between 400 megahertz and 520 megahertz, which is the UHF band that everyone uses, into 25 kilohertz slots, you get a finite number of radio frequencies, a finite number of licenses, and there simply wasn't enough to go round. People like governments, police, emergency services wanted big chunks of the band to themselves. Other users needed specific types of operation in certain bands, and it was in this last 2 years or so that the Australian Communications and Media Authority, who's the new PMG, decided that they would reallocate those frequencies completely, make them all 12.5 kilohertz at a maximum, did a lot of shuffling around so that people moved out of blocks that were required by government and moved back into other parts. So some users have to actually move to a temporary frequency, wait till their normal frequency is reshuffled, and then go back again. We're lucky we don't have to do that. We can stick with our existing frequencies, just change to 12.5 kilohertz, and we can go on as normal.
If they're turning off analogue TV, doesn't that give us more space?
Digital TV has a big impact on two-way radio users because a lot of the old analogue TV stations will go away and there's a lot more frequency available. So it may be that all this reshuffle in the end may not have been necessary. We may have been able to just move into some of the analogue TV channels and reuse those frequencies. But the reality is it's being forced upon us. We must move, we must change, and with that change there is that option to look at some new technologies.
So all that means that your network will have to change as well.
From a bus communication systems point of view, we will do whatever our users want. We will certainly move our repeaters to 12.5 kilohertz. We must by law. If people wish to also go to digital, we will facilitate that as well, and we'll put in digital repeaters.
What does that involve for you?
Is we have about 22 repeaters in our network, and at least half of those are ready to go tomorrow to 12.5 kilohertz. The rest will need to be replaced. They're older repeaters that have been around for a while.
And what are the numbers that affect me?
We know that the radios in your network are about 70%, 75%, depending on the customer, based on old Tate T2000 radios that simply won't do 12.5 kilohertz. They were made either as a 12.5 kilohertz model or a 25 kilohertz model. There's no parts available to change from one to the other now. They've been out of production for about 10 years. So we know roughly how many radios you use, and we know that about 70%, 75% of them will need to be replaced. You've got that great opportunity to say, well, we'll save money, we'll just go to 12.5 kilohertz, we'll go with you. If you decide that now's the time to think about digital or trunking, we'll support you in that endeavour as well. You need to be budgeting now and think about new radios, at least some new radios, in the next 12 months. To you as a user, not a lot will change. The radios will look similar, whether they're a portable or whether they're a base station radio or a mobile in the bus. They will look the same. We want it to be your decision. We will support you in whatever decision you make and support you with whatever product technology you decide to go to.